Let's completely forget about the news right now, all of the politics, all of the headlines, and just go a layer deeper and look at the actual numbers to find out what's happening in Toronto real estate. Today, I'm going to go through real estate board data for the past 3 years to show us exactly where we are in 2025 and what that could mean to us as potential buyers or sellers. Hi, my name is Pritesh and I lead a Toronto-based real estate team helping buyers and sellers make better decisions in the market right now. If you want to book a 15-minute call with me or someone on my team, just click the link below and you can easily set up a 15-minute chat. Also, if you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and that way you'll get more content just like this. Okay, let's dive right into it. The document that I'm going through right now is called the Toronto Housing Market Charts, specifically TRREB, which is the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board, and the official data that comes out every single month from them. And we're looking at February 2025. This data is easy to access for anyone and it's public information. If you want to know where to get it, just comment below and I'll send you the link. Today, let's walk through this entire report. The very first section here looks at sales. What we will have over here for each of the different months, so this is January, February, March, April, and so on, we will actually have 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025 data. So of course for 2025, we only have January and February so far. The very first trend that we are going to notice on this chart is that sales usually go up from January to February to March. So these bars here, you can see that's 2022. In 2023, these dark gray also start over here in January and then they go up and then they go further up in March. And again in 2024, sales are at this level and then they go up and then they go up again in March. So you can see that almost every single year, sales go up from January to February to March, which is going into the spring market. However, we'll notice that for 2025, sales are still slightly up, but very, very little versus most typical years. And the reason for that is probably all of the different economic and political news that we're hearing out there right now. March data has not come out yet, but we will probably expect it to be slightly higher, but not much more. So what does this tell us about the market right now in terms of sales? It tells us that a lot of people are not buying right now. So if you are a seller, that's troubling news because it's harder to find a buyer to be able to sell your unit. However, if you are a buyer yourself, this could signal some good news because sellers will be a little bit more motivated and there's less competition that you have as a buyer, so you can negotiate better and potentially find the home that you're looking for. This next section is laid out in a similar format to the previous one, but now we are looking at actual listings rather than sales. So sales are the properties that actually sold. Listings are the new properties that are hitting the market and coming out, but not yet sold. So again, if we look at 2022, 2023, and 2024, we are going to see a similar trend. January sits kind of at one level, and then in February it goes up, and in March it goes up again. And you'll see that for 22, 23, and 24, it's that it goes upwards. The very interesting thing here in terms of listings is that for 2025, it's the complete opposite trend. We usually see more listings come out in February, but in this case, we are seeing that listings have actually gone slightly down in February. My perspective on this is not necessarily that listings have gone down from January, February, but rather that there were just a lot of listings in January itself. So the overall story here is that there are a lot of listings in the market right now, especially because of the high flood of listings that came out right in January, and a lot of those places are still on the market. So the question is, what does this mean to us as potential buyers or sellers? Well, first, let's look at it from the perspective of sellers. That means there are a lot of listings, which is a lot of competition. So that's not good news if you are a seller because it makes it more difficult to sell your property. However, if you are a buyer, you can look at this as pretty good news. With lots and lots of supply out there in the market, it gives you a little bit more negotiating power as well as a buyer in the market. All right, now the one you're probably most interested in is the average price. What happens to average prices from January, February to March? Well, price tends to go up from January, February as more buyers start to get out there into the market and there's more activity just in general. And in March, it tends to be flat, maybe a little bit higher or lower in an average year. The interesting thing with 2025 is that the trend is the same so far as we see in a typical year, which is going up from January to February just slightly. Now, what does this mean to you as a potential buyer or seller? Well, As a buyer, this is probably not ideal news because prices are higher, but just remember that it really depends on the specific market or pocket that you're buying in, and these average numbers might not impact where you're looking. As a seller, this generally comes off as good news because as there's more competition and a higher average price, you can hope that you're going to get more for your property. Okay, in this next section, I want to go a little bit more long term and look at a longer term chart for sales and how they've been trending. So this orangish yellow line over here basically shows the trend going all the way back towards 1994 to where we are in 2025 right now. And you can see that sales generally have just gone up in time all the way up until about 2022. Now from 2022 until where we are here, sales have really dropped off. Things have slowed down. The market has changed, and we all know that. The peak was over here in 2021 where people were going crazy, lots of buying, and we're definitely not anywhere near that right now. However, if we zoom in and look at the blue lines here, which is just monthly, we can see that we are at a very, very low right here. So it's possible that there's a slight uptick in sales coming up soon. What do you think? I'm kind of curious. Feel free to drop that in the comments below on if you think that sales are going to spike in the next month or two here. And finally, let's talk about, again, the exciting one, which is the average price. What is happening with prices in the market and where have prices been going over the long term? Well, this chart again goes back to 1994, so we can go really, really far back. And even though you see this blue line, lots of ups and downs, wave pattern formation in terms of pricing, over the long term, Toronto real estate prices have generally just gone up and up and up and up, from all the way down to this low point up to this spike in 2021, which was just really, really high during the pandemic. Now, where we sit right now seems like there's some sort of a new level forming over here. Now, if I had to guess where prices are going to go over the next, 5 to 10 plus years, it seems like based on history, things will continue to trend upward again. At what rate, I don't know. But at some point, I believe that prices will probably tend to go upwards. But what do you think? Do you think that prices are actually just going to come down and hit maybe down to this level over here? That would be a pretty massive crash in the market if we were to see that. But this really allows us to zoom in and see that in the immediate market, prices are relatively low in terms of where they were up in 2021 peak. So if you're a buyer, that's pretty good news. You might be able to buy something at these price levels before they continue to go up again. At the same time, if you truly believe that the market is going to crash from here and go down, then I suppose you're going to be waiting. So in this video, I just wanted to share with you the exact numbers and what is actually happening in the market, because we're seeing a lot in the news, which is about politics and things that are happening with the tariffs and the US, but nobody's really talking about the actual numbers. So I wanted to share these numbers so we can see where we sit right now in 2025 and what that means to you as a potential buyer or seller. If there's something more specific you want me to zoom in on in any of these charts, just comment below and let me know, and I can maybe make a video about that or get back to you to answer any questions. And if you found this video helpful at all, please hit subscribe and you'll get more videos like this. And finally, if you want to set up a chat to see if there's opportunities for you in this market right now as a buyer or seller, just click the link in the description below and you can easily book a 15-minute chat with me or somebody on my team. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.